Today we've got an interesting update to break down on Stranger Things Season 5. This week they're launching the official promotional phase with merch releases and a ton of brand collabs, which is super exciting. But a VFX studio, specifically the one that handles all of the 3D scanning for Season 5, the people that do these ultra high-res 360 scans, released their own summary of the 5th and final season. And their description of what it is much different than the one Netflix released, with some very questionable details. I feel like the element of time has always been an important piece of the Stranger Things story. It was underlying in the first 3 seasons, but especially in Season 4, with Vecna's obsession with clocks and the structure of time, and now the Upside Down being frozen in time. But now this new summary leans even further into the finale having to do with, in quotation marks, time itself unraveling. Yeah, there's a lot to uncover here, so I wanted to take a quick look at it right before everyone starts their rewatch of seasons 1 through 4, because now we know how important it will actually be. They've always been hinting at it, and we just didn't realize it. But now we have this. The new summary for season 5 says that Hawkins faces its greatest threat yet, as the Upside Down fully merges with the real world. Which honestly is one of the things I'm looking forward to the most this season. I know we're going to see the military try to stop it, but obviously they're not going to be successful. Demogorgons, Demodogs, and Vecna will all be in Hawkins. I'm kinda hoping we start to see vines growing into it and spores everywhere like they teased in season 4's finale. It says, with cracks splitting the town and time itself unraveling. Now, we already saw the cracks splitting the town apart, but time itself unraveling? Why will time be unraveling? I feel like this holds some pretty heavy context, something like the fabric of reality falling apart. Time unraveling is so ominous, you can't just say that and then not explain yourself. The closest thing we've seen to this is when Henry Creel was a boy and he made the clock turn back in time. I don't know if they were implying he was literally turning back time, or if he just wanted to mess with his family and change all the clocks in the house. We see this motif a lot actually, as we've started to see characters travel back through time into others' memories. We saw 11 slip into Billy's mind, traveling back to 1977 as we see a young Billy with his mother. Of course, this is an estimate, but unless they date the flashbacks, we can see the actor that plays young Billy, Christopher Convery, was born in 2008. They filmed season 3 in 2018, so he's 10 years old when they filmed the show. Billy is 18 years old in season 3, meaning that he was only 10 years old here in these flashbacks. Season 3 takes place in 1985, and 8 years before that is 1977. We also see 11 go back in time to when Max was a little kid. We see Nancy go back in time through Henry's memory to 1959. And if we keep going in the synopsis, it says that 11, Mike, Will, and the rest of the crew, which honestly, it's so great to see that these 3 specifically will be the main characters of this season. Poor Will really needs a redemption season after doing absolutely nothing throughout seasons 3 and 4. But like we were saying, they must confront Vecna in a battle that spans dimensions and memories, meaning that we will be going back in time even more this season, most likely seeing Max run through Vecna's mind, traveling through some of Henry's memories. And we know that they've also teased going back in time to 1983 through Will's first memories of being in the Upside Down. We're finally going to get to see season 1 from his perspective. But could time unraveling really be referring to going back to look at memories? It seems like so much more than that. And with 11's first line of season 4,
time is funny like that. Emotions can make it speed up or slow down. We are all time travelers if you think about it.
I mean, it kinda sounds like they're talking about time unraveling in a much larger way. We also know that another big element of time in the show is the Upside Down being stuck in time on the day Will went missing, and the gate was opened, November 6, 1983.
The last entry is November 6, 1983. We're in the past.
Now, you have to remember that time has not literally stopped here. Time passes, there just has not been any changes to this upside down version of Hawkins since it was created. The only changes that happen here are made when people have since come into the upside down and moved things around. And when Nancy says that we're in the past, it doesn't mean that they've literally time traveled back to 1983, but it's just used as a metaphor to say that they are in Hawkins from 1983, just because it doesn't mirror the changes that are happening in real time in the actual Hawkins. And Robin tells Nancy that her house is frozen in time.
I know your house here is like weirdly, creepily frozen in time and shit, but haven't you always had bikes?
Which is what we were just saying. Their perception of her house is frozen in time, but not literally. But who knows, maybe this means something towards time unraveling. This is going to be a huge story point in season 5, going back to the day Will was taken and explaining why it was stuck in time. But time unraveling doesn't sound like a preserved past reference. It sounds like actual time is coming apart or becoming unstable. And with portals being opened up between dimensions, the Upside Down and Hawkins, you could say that it's a tear through time and space, and that the portal itself is breaking the laws of physics. And with a massive portal in the library that is the center of 4 giant cracks that span across the entire town, and at the start of each one is another gate, maybe we will actually see it become unstable and start to mess with reality, fusing the 2 dimensions together. It could turn into something like we saw Will experience with the Now memories, him being able to use his true sight abilities to see into the Upside Down while his physical body is still in the real world. Because for a while now, the Duffer Brothers have been telling us how important Season 2 specifically will be to Season 5. The references, the questions left unanswered, some of the underlying themes, the tunnel system, the Mind Flayers introduction. There's definitely going to be multiple reasons they've been trying to get us to rewatch Season 2. I mean, the only mention or reference of time in the actual Netflix summary, besides it coincidentally being the last word of the paragraph, kinda sus, is that the anniversary of Will's kidnapping is coming up, which they talk about the anniversary effect in Season 2 with Dr. Owens telling them that sometimes trauma patients will get symptoms as they near the date of their trauma. And funny enough, this season of Stranger Things will be taking place in November, the month that Will went missing. And I don't think they're going to forget about that like they did with his birthday. But it's crazy that this new synopsis gives us so much more insight saying that time will unravel. What is this referring to? Possibly Vecna and his obsession with clocks and time. Not literally, but you know what I mean. He uses the grandfather clock from his childhood home to torment and lure away his victims he curses before taking their souls. And we hear these same clock chimes from Vecna each time he does something that interfered with our main characters, when Will falls off his bike in Season 1. Vecna's clock chimes. In Season 3, when Billy gets taken over by Vecna, what do we hear?
What do you want?
His clock chimes. I mean, for a dude that hates the construct of time, he sure does love clocks. In his monologue with Eleven, he tells her how much he hated as a child that humanity was based around time and schedules and that it limited them. Meanwhile, Nancy was frolicking through his memories, watching his eyes roll back into his head as he literally turned a clock back. I just don't want to feel stupid if after all this time they've been hinting at it since Season 1 and it actually turns out that Vecna will be able to manipulate time in some way. We already know that he can see into the future. He literally shows it to Nancy before releasing her. I mean, that's crazy. I feel like the fans don't want there to be full-on time travel in the show. I don't want there to be full-on time travel in the show. It tends to be a cop-out most times, and more often than not just makes things too complicated, and also has the tendency to make big, impactful moments not matter anymore. If Will ends up dying, and he has this super emotional death, Mike is crying, Will is crying, Lucas and Dustin are crying, and then they go back in time to save him. I mean, how are you gonna feel about that? Are you going to suck those tears back into your eyes? I really hope they don't go that route. In fact, I don't think it's likely. Most people have expressed that it would be one of the worst ways to end the show. But what if there are aspects of time manipulation that come into play and are important to the story? Well, you could say that there already is time manipulation with him seeing the future and turning back the clock, the Upside Down being stuck in the past. But what if there's more? In the synopsis, it continues on to say that as secrets are revealed and past traumas resurface, the group must rely on their bonds and Eleven's evolving powers to close the gateway once and for all. Eleven's evolving powers, huh? How much are they going to evolve? We know that she'll be able to fly now, but if Henry Creel is able to see into the future, that's one power 11 doesn't have yet. What if while Vecna's been hiding and growing his army for the invasion, he's also been training like we see 11 has been doing, and Vecna too has been getting stronger and will be able to manipulate time. I mean, if they can open portals between dimensions, that's a minor form of time and reality manipulation. And they said that more past traumas will resurface. I'm sure Henry's past will be explored a lot and possibly the first Shadowplay reference, but maybe 11's past will be explored too, and Wheels as well. But maybe 11's powers will evolve more than we think. It's just something interesting to think about. I don't want them to use time travel to beat the bad guy, but I mean, in Season 3's finale, Hopper literally says,
So I think maybe that's why I came in here. To try to maybe stop that change. To turn back the clock. To make things go back to how they were.
He's talking about turning back time. Of course, he's using it in the context of the kids and growing up, but it would be crazy foreshadowing if they end up turning back the clock in the finale. Just saying. Hopefully it's not that egregious and they stick to minor time manipulation, if at all. I don't want this universe to end up with a bunch of alternate timelines and crap that disinterests half the fanbase, but still, you gotta admit that all the hinting at time being important in all this promo material and all the seasons prior is very intriguing. Thanks for watching. I'll have more videos out soon, so make sure you're subscribed and tell me in the comments what you think about them using time travel in Stranger Things. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.